Hi everybody, this is Jim Wallace again, a Purdue band fan, and I'm with our new Silver Twins this year, Olivia Zugai and Kathy Schleiss. Did I pronounce that right?
Okay.
Probably not. Anyway, it's close. So let's get to know them just a little bit. Olivia, you're a junior this year?
I am.
Where's home for you?
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay, and your major?
Chemical engineering.
Chemical engineering, and you were on the twirling line last year, correct?
I was on the twirling team for 2 years before I became a Silver Twin.
Okay, 2 years. And Katie, I always want to say, I don't know why Caitlin, because that's your formal name, right?
Yes,
okay.
It is.
Well, what's Katie? That's what you go by.
Yes.
Okay. And your home is?
I'm from Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Okay. And you're a freshman?
I am, yes.
What is your major?
I'm studying speech, language, and hearing sciences.
Wow. Okay. Well, we could all use some help with that, I'm sure, especially me wearing hearing aids. All right. So let's talk about when you picked up a baton. Let's start with you, Olivia. How old were you and why?
I was 3 years old when I started twirling. I saw my cousin twirling, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world, and I haven't stopped since.
Now, so mom and dad didn't like talk you into it?
No, I did it by myself, yeah.
Wow. And you had to practice and rehearse and all this on your own motivation?
Definitely.
Sometimes, at least with instruments, you pick up an instrument in 5th grade or so, and mom and dad have to force you to practice. Nobody had to force you to do that, huh?
I enjoy practicing. Some people might think that's a little weird, but
Yeah.
I actually like practicing.
All right. 3 years old?
Yes.
So you must have had a little baton at 3, right? They're not the same.
No, yeah, I was about this
Yeah,
big.
yeah. How about you, Katie?
I started twirling when I was 3 too. My mom and dad signed me up for a combination class at my dance studio, and from there I took baton classes and dance classes and tumbling classes, and from there it's just evolved, and I'm now here today twirling at Purdue as one of your Silver Twins.
That's pretty fantastic that you're one of the solo twirlers as a freshman.
Absolutely.
And for those that don't know, you get your name called out at pregame, at every football game. So that's kind of cool.
Yes.
Yeah. So as a freshman, how has this experience been so far based upon what you thought it might be, and how is it not like you thought it was going to be?
Initially it was a bit intimidating because coming from a high school band into a college band is a completely different experience from what I thought it was going to be. The practices are intense, you're learning a new show every week, so it's kind of a lot at first, but I've really enjoyed it, and I've liked twirling with Olivia here, and she's been able to help me transition into college, and so that's been also something that's been really helpful.
How big was your high school marching band?
We were a band of 300, but only about 150 students did the marching band, so it was a little bit smaller, and we only did one show, and we weren't a competing band or anything like that.
One show for the year, right? And you do the
Correct.
same show over and over again?
Correct.
And Olivia, how about you? How big was your high school band?
Well, I graduated with a class size of about 224.
Okay.
So my high school band had about 45 people in it.
It wasn't a marching band then?
We were a marching band,
Oh,
and we
okay.
actually did competitions too.
Okay.
But it wasn't as big as Purdue as well.
Right.
As is Purdue, obviously.
So how's the transition been going from being in the twirling line to being one of the solo twirlers, or featured twirlers, I guess I should say?
I think that being on the team has really helped me transition well. I knew all the traditions coming in. I watched the solo twirlers before the last 2 years. So they showed us the right way to do things and things like that. So they helped me transition, and then just being on the line showed me what I needed to do to be a featured twirler, so that helped as well for the last few years.
Were you nervous at all the first game because you're now a Silver Twin versus in the line?
I was definitely nervous, definitely a little bit more prominent out on the field, I would say, because there's not 6 of us anymore, there's only 2 of us,
Right.
and we're in a bright silver costume, so we're
Yeah.
definitely more prominent. But you said our names get called during pregame, so I made sure to listen for that, and that was probably one of the coolest moments.
Yeah.
Was hearing our name across the loudspeaker.
How about you, Katie? Were you nervous?
I was pretty nervous. Ross 8 is pretty big, and there were a lot of people, but it was also really exciting to get out there and to have worked so hard like my entire life to be able to twirl in college, and finally having that opportunity was something that was really special to me, and I'll always remember that first pregame.
You know, if you're a musician, you're never like alone. Now, I know when you grew up with a baton, you had to do a lot of competitions alone out there. That to me would be nervous. How do you do that and not be nervous?
You don't.
You don't, you're nervous too.
You're nervous.
Yeah.
You're very
Yeah.
nervous. Yes.
Because I just can't imagine being out there all alone. At least on the football field, there's a whole bunch of other band people with you. You know, other twirlers and marching musicians and so on and so forth.
Right.
Interesting. So we probably should mention that you're really not twins.
Yes.
The Silver Twins were started by Professor Alright in 1960. And since 1960, I think there's been about 12 actual twins. I have that number here somewhere. Do you know that?
We looked on the board outside, and it's actually 14.
You're which?
14. We're number
Okay.
26, so 14 out of 26 twins have
Okay.
been actual twins.
Yeah. So 12 of the 21 sets, it says here, have been actual.
Yeah, that's a little dated. So it's like 14 out of 26.
Okay, 14 out of
Yeah.
26. So, geez, what else can I say? We did band camp. Now, you were already selected before band camp, so that gave you, of course, you had to go through those auditions.
Right.
Yes.
And that's sort of a solo audition, right? I mean, you're all alone out there doing that.
Yes.
Were you nervous during that as well?
Yeah, I think the kind of the thing when you're twirling alone is if you do make a mistake or something that's on you. So, and I've twirled with a team before, and I personally think twirling with a group is a little bit more intimidating because if you make a mistake or have a drop, not only are you affecting yourself, but you're also affecting the other people on your team. So I think it's a little easier to twirl alone. But like now as a duet position, that kind of falls under that team aspect where if one makes a mistake, it also not only affects yourself, but also your duet partner.
Especially when you have a drop, right? And now you have to figure out where in the routine do I start. So what do you do at that point? Look to the other person and see what they're doing and then join in at that point?
Hopefully it works out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the one thing about twirling that would be the greatest pressure is not having a drop. I mean, because sometimes when you drop the baton, it doesn't just land close to you. Especially when we're out like at a North End concert and it lands on the asphalt and it could bounce 10 or 15 feet away. That has to be a little embarrassing. No?
It's embarrassing, but it's also part of twirling. I know a lot of people who don't really know what twirling is or haven't seen a competition for baton twirling. When they see a drop, they think it's, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. But it's really part of baton twirling, and we're going to have drops no matter how hard we practice or how prepared we are. Anything can happen. The wind can take your baton and blow it across the field. So you always just have to adapt and be ready to go, run, pick up your baton, and get right back into it.
I saw that in the post-game concert last Saturday where both Juliana and Alexa threw the baton up high and a big gust of wind came along
Yes.
and it blew it, I don't know, like 10 feet over or
Right,
something,
yeah.
quite a distance. Well, I do know that the better twirlers can catch the baton more often than others, right? I mean, that's a fair statement because obviously in the judging that you go through, drops probably would count against you.
Correct.
So how do you, I see all you twirlers, you can catch it behind your head, you can catch it behind your back. You really do catch the baton most of the time, like a huge broad majority. How do you learn how to do that? Is it just practice? Or?
Practice. Yeah.
Lots and lots of
Repetition.
practice.
Now, is it safe to say that to catch it, you got to throw it up correctly to begin with?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's all about placement and getting your placement consistent because that allows you to know where your baton is going to be every time. So given adverse conditions such as wind or something, if you are able to have a good placement, the chances of catching it increase greatly.
Now, I watch you too when you're rehearsing and on the field, and a lot of times you throw the baton up and it reaches the same height. I want to know how you do that. I mean, because is that just practice or?
We never really talked about it. We just say, we're going to do this trick, and then we do it, and our batons just go the same height, and we do it at the same time, and then we catch our batons.
Yeah.
And you catch them at the same time in a
Yeah.
perfect world. So I think one thing that most people won't understand is you have to work together. You have to have a choreography that's in unison versus, say, the Golden Girl or the Girl in Black who can pretty much ad lib. I don't know whether they have a routine or not, but you have to have a routine.
Yes.
And tell me how that comes about. You start. How do you first start deciding? Okay, we're going to do this, and then we're going to do that.
So we'll have little like sections that we put together, and then from those sections we'll start to like build off of them. And so usually like I'll say, oh, let's do this here, and then Olivia will throw in her 2 cents, and we'll kind of just build off of what we have from each other, and then from there we just keep memorizing it and practicing it, and then we got a routine.
Do you have terminology that use a particular like motion with the arm or the leg, and it's called a whatever?
Yes.
Yes.
So you might say to them, let's do a whatever you might call it,
Right.
a reverse throwback
Yeah,
behind the head or
sure,
something. I don't know. Okay. All right. Well, good. So I don't know if I've left anything out. Do you want to add anything that we maybe should have mentioned about being a silver twin and twirling with the All-American Marching Band?
It's really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm having a really great time. So really happy that I have the opportunity to twirl just like with Katie.
Well, in a perfect world, we could go to a ball game someday, and you'd
Yes.
get that experience
That would be
well.
pretty cool.
Yes.
But we have done a lot of international travel, so
Yes.
hopefully, at least Katie, in your case, because you still have a lot of years left here,
Yes, I do.
you'll get to twirl somewhere else
Yeah,
besides here.
it'll be very cool.
All right, good. Thank you for taking the time to come in. You have a nice day.
Thank
All right,
you.
bye-bye.